Howling, fan cams, club news, transfer news, match previews, legend interviews, Spurs winning, press conferences, covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel. We're back. It's Tottenham. Oh dear, I'm covering for Chris tonight because he's in his car trying to get home at a decent hour. So please stay with us. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Spurs. We love them, don't we? We love them. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Anyway, look, let's get into it. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you listen on audio, follow, leave a review. That would be brilliant. Thank you very much. We're really sorry we're not bringing you a Spurs victory tonight. We're bringing you a draw. We're going to get into it. We're going to discuss it. We're going to pick the bones out of it. We're going to make you feel better. Without any further ado, joining us again is Richard Whitehead. Richard, how are you? What do you make of that?
Yes, I'm good, thanks. I was until about 2 hours ago. Yeah, second half, absolute bollocks. So poor. Without obviously talking too much about the game itself, I think first half we looked like Barcelona in disguise, and the second half we looked like the Ship Inn pub from somewhere in Nottingham. Terrible, like so bad. And do you know what as well? The attitude was all wrong. The attitude was really poor in the second half. Lots of players didn't turn up, and last year we talked a lot about leadership. Where was that leadership in that second half? It just went awry, really, and that was really disappointing. The manager's going to rip the players today because that just wasn't good enough. Lots of chances in the first half. It should have been 4 or 5 up at half time. Wasn't. And then obviously in the Premier League, if you don't take your chances, this is what happens.
It was a game of two halves, absolutely. When it was, buzzing in the first half and just not good in the second. Ollie Gamp's back with us. Ollie, how are you? You're now at the Daily Mirror, I believe. So congratulations on the new job. So, tell us about it. How are you feeling about that game?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Yeah, new change, new season, new job. Same Tottenham, apparently. I was in a great mood until tonight. Do you know what? I'm actually still in a decent mood. It's only, it's early days. There were some things I liked about that performance. There were some things I didn't like. We've got, 37 games left to go. So let's see. I mean, we drew to Brentford last year, didn't we? And then we did pretty well the first half of the season. But yeah, it was a really poor end, just as Richard said. Really poor attitude, kind of lost momentum a bit. Same old Tottenham, but I was really encouraged by what we saw in the first half. So hopefully throughout the season, we'll see some better stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the one and only Ricky Norwood back with us. Rick, how are you? What do you make of the game?
Well, welcome back, like you said, right? The Premier League is here. We've been pining for it for about, I don't know how long. Even when the Euros was on, we were still pining for Tottenham. Yep. We want signings in. We want it to be real. We want the preseason to be over. They make us go on last. Do you know what I mean? They make us wait until Monday to watch them. So then we even sign a player leading up into the game. You're like, oh, I'm buzzing. Even there's another one through the door. What's happening here? The momentum's there. And the Premier League is what the Premier League is, man. It's not always going to go the way that you want it to go. I was really impressed with those first 60-odd minutes or whatever it was, 50-odd minutes before they started having a little go. But they had nothing for a lot of the game. And I'm going to stay on the positive side, as I always do, and I'm going to try and look at the positives that came out of today. And if we take our chances, oh my gosh, this team could be on fire. Solanke had a good couple of chances today. He looks impressive up there. There's loads of good things to see within today's game. But again, it is Tottenham, and sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot.
I think we became
it's not all doom
predictable.
and gloom, though. That's all I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? I was looking and I'm like, you know what? If we get this going, my gosh, it could be amazing. So I'm going to try and stay there.
Well,
last season, I talked about having a plan B, plan C, and I think you know what Steve Cooper went in at half time when this is what they're doing to us every play. This is how they're breaking down the left through Ndoggy and Son. Just cut that out, and we nullify the whole team. I think that's what happened. I think we didn't have a plan B. We didn't have a plan B today, and players literally turned off. Again, attitude was very poor. I was just frustrated. I was watching the game, but you could tell all Leicester needed was one piece of confidence, throwing that ball in the middle, ball breaking to somebody like Vardy. He obviously takes his chance, game changes, and that's what happened. It was inexperience, again, leadership, very poor. I know Chris will be listening on the way home, and I know you agree with me. We need more leaders.
We do. Well, look, let's. You mentioned there the possession and the stats. So, look, 15 shots to Tottenham and 7 to Leicester. 3 on target from outside the box. I think there is, and 3 on target each, and 7 on target inside. 5 block shots for Tottenham. 12 shots inside the box. I mean, you can look at all the stats and Spurs are way up there. Look at the possession, 71% to Leicester's 29. Expected goals, I know a lot of people don't like this, but 1.23 for us. Total shots, 15. Accurate passes, 595 to Leicester's 205. So, look, we dominated that game. But again, as we saw last season, we didn't take our chances and we didn't come away with all 3 points. It's as Ollie said, actually, that's a very good point. We drew away to Brentford first game of the season last year. It's not a disaster, but I personally think that's 2 points dropped. We should have been turning Leicester over today. So, Rich, let's come back to you on the lineup. These are the lineups today, but the one for Spurs is the one we're obviously interested in. Started with Vicario, Pedro Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Sarr, Bentancur, Maddison, Johnson, Solanke, and Son. What do you make of the lineup, Rich? Any surprises? Do you think that was right? Any moans, or do you think that was probably the best one and the one he was going to go with?
Yeah, so I actually thought he'd played Kulusevski after the pre-season that he'd had. He obviously played really well. A lot in that number 10, obviously. And whether he'd actually dropped Maddison to the bench and played Kulusevski in that 10. Johnson as well, just worrying obviously today with his form. But no, I actually thought the lineup fine with it, but one of my changes would have been Kulusevski from the start, just because of how he played in the pre-season. Obviously, we've seen quite a bit of him look sharp. Took a couple of chances that he had, and today, in front of goal, you just like some of the players had opportunities to take a shot, didn't. I think he's a player that I like when it's in front of goal. He's always kind of getting the ball out of his feet, trying to make himself a bit of room to shoot. So that was the only one.
Ollie, what do you make of the lineup?
Yeah, I agree. I think Kulusevski should have started over Johnson. I think I prefer Johnson when he comes on as an impact sub. I think he always comes on, whips balls in. He just didn't really grab the game by the scruff of the neck. I was watching my flatmate was screaming at the TV every single time Johnson got the ball. And I didn't think he was terrible, but you wanted him to take players on. You wanted him to make things happen. It just wasn't happening for him. He had a decent chance at the start where he volleyed at the keeper. But apart from that, he looked frustrated with his own performance. And yeah, Kulusevski had a great preseason. It would have been great to see him start. I personally, I mean, this would have been a risk, but I was thinking about starting Bergvall if I was in charge, because Bergvall, he just looks special. He looks like he can just make things happen. So I maybe would have started Bergvall, but it would have been a risk. So I think it would make sense for him to come on later. But I think the lineup was pretty much spot on. Apart from, it was a surprise to see Kulusevski benched.
Yeah, Rick, what about you? Anything to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it looked exciting. I mean, I agree with both of the lads there, you know, talking about Kulusevski. You know, he had the dynamite pre-season. But I was excited by it. It had a lot of pace in it. It was attacking. I was like, okay, cool. And I think it told us a lot about how Ange is feeling about his squad right now. You know, he's looking at Kulu more as that 10, number 8. and coming on and filling those roles. You know, he's played mostly central throughout the preseason, and it looks like, not saying that he won't use him on the wing, but I think that he's more looking at him as coming off the bench or starting in those central roles. Bergvall is a special player. You can see it definitely, but I think today was a great lesson for him as well. There was some decent touches and some lovely runs, and you know, he had a nice little crossing at some point as well. But being bullied off the ball, sometimes you're not allowed to play. And as we saw with Brian Hill, you know, for many a season, that a technical player, fantastic with the ball at his feet, but could, you know, when the defenders had enough of him, they just moved him off the ball. And I'm not going to say that that's going to happen with Bergvall. I think he's intelligent enough to kind of grow from that. But I think that this is what the Premier League is. And I think it was a welcome to the Premier League for him. You know, there were some positives and there were some things that he has to work on. But that's going to be his journey. So I think that we have to be careful with Bergvall and introduce him little bit by little bit. Let him grow, you know, and not put too much pressure on him. We can see that he's special, but he's not there yet. He's going to have special moments during the season, but he's not there yet. So let Ange and the boys look after him and bring him in the way that they're doing it. Because today against Leicester, you know, there was a bit of a wake-up call there for him. And he got a rollicking from Vicario as well, which, you know, took him back a bit as well. So I don't know whether Vicario's, you know, had a go at him in training yet, but he felt the full force today. So I think that there's lots of learning time and there's lots of room for growth. But let's just be calm with Bergvall.
Yeah, I mean, it's too early to, you know, he's had, 20 minutes, Bergvall, Gray. It's too early for people to start slagging him off, blah, blah, blah. You know, he's 20 minutes into his Spurs career. But I'm just looking in the comments, Johnson's getting a fair bit of... you know, people aren't happy with his performance. A few people weren't happy with Son's performance tonight. I don't think Son had a particularly good game. Me and Rich were talking off air. Started off okay, but I think he did fade towards the end of the game, and was obviously taken off fairly near the end. Let's get into the match incidents, because I think that if we've got to take the positives out of this if we can. And that first half, Rich, coming round to you. Very good first half. I had absolutely no moans. 6 minutes from a corner, indeed he cleared off the line from a Bentancur flicked header. Then Johnson goes close with a volley. 11 minutes, Romero goes close with a header, and 14 minutes, Solanke with his second header that went close. It was a great performance, wasn't it? We were running the show. Which players really stood out for you in that first half, Rich?
Well, the first 15, 20 minutes, I think we were relentless with the play, and it was a barrage of attacks, attack after attack after attack, and we just needed to have a little bit of luck and the ball break to one of our players just so they could tap it in. I think Bentancur used the ball really well in the first half. I think Leicester gave him far too much time on the ball. He was dictating the play. I think, like I spoke about earlier, Johnson and Maddison in that stage had opportunities, and I don't think they made the best of some of those opportunities. We were running them ragged, but at the end of the day, it was about putting the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, it was great to see Solanke in the flesh and getting a couple of early chances. Clearly, we need to be getting that ball in earlier. When we did that in the first half, we had those chances. I can't remember one in the second. And then the one that came right at the end of the game for Richarlison, I think that just came too quick at him, and he just couldn't get that glance in the far corner. But when you're talking about obviously the players that caught my eye, I think Pedro Porro obviously did a lot of work in that early part of the game. So did Ndoggy, but again, he's just trying to find his feet, and I think he didn't come into central midfield and push on as much as he did early last season. But Bentancur for me really shone and dictated the play more than I would have thought Maddison should have.
Yeah. What about you, Ollie? Do you think Bentancur was pretty good? I thought him and Maddison, for me, I thought was outstanding in the first half. But which player stood out for you in that first half?
For me, it was Maddison. Maddison was unbelievable. He was playing everybody off the park. I don't know what happened to him in the second half. Second half, he was non-existent. But me and my friend watching the game was singing Maddison's praises. I thought he was making stuff happen. Superb ball in for the goal. He was lively. He was, he had his head down and plugging away. I thought Bentancur was good. Everybody looked good. Son wasn't great, was he? I thought Bentancur and Sarr did really well in the middle. We were winning the ball back, very high energy. I wasn't impressed massively with Solanke. I think he had his moments where he never really looked in control of what he was doing. And obviously Johnson didn't have a great game. But yeah, Vicky van der Ven and Romero were in control at the back. Porro was making stuff happen. So there was only a couple of players who didn't impress, but for me, it was Maddison. He was just making stuff happen. And he looks back to his old self in the first half, but like the second half of his last season, he just fades away too easily. So when he came off, it seemed like a vindicated decision to take him off at the end.
Yeah, I tend to agree. He did die out in that second half, didn't he? But as you say, I thought his performance in the first half, that was the old Maddison for me. I thought he was very good. What
I would say, dead ball wise, I expect more from him. I expect more from Maddison at dead ball situations. When he was at Leicester, took a lot of the free kicks, obviously, had shots on target, but also some great crosses. I didn't think he was great today in the dead ball situations. And again, that's why I didn't really think he had a great first half. I think the reason why him and Bentancur maybe were the outstanding players in the first half was because of the amount of time they were given on the ball by Leicester. You watch, they were standing off them. I think Winks didn't do anything for Leicester in that first half. He was back to his old self of like those backwards passes and into danger a lot of the time. And I think we were. If you looked at how high we were at the pitch as well, like everybody was forwards, and even Van der Ven was kind of running through their midfield. So I think the first half they must have got a wake up call to say, actually, look, come on, guys, you need to push up, you need to nullify the central midfielders, and that should make a massive difference in the game. And that's what I think they did.
What about you, Rick? How did you see that first half?
For me, I thought the first half was fantastic. I loved our patterns. I thought we was dangerous all over the park. I thought Johnson and Sonny were making runs that were taking players away. There was overlaps. With Maddison, there was chip balls. Some of his corners, they got flick-ons, and there was guys that wasn't on the back post, but some of them were going into the right areas. We was getting on them. Solanke's, he had like 2 headers and a shot, so it was just fine margins for me. But the patterns of play, yes, they backed off of us, Rich, but you know what? They didn't, they couldn't touch us. They couldn't get near us. We were playing first time balls. We were playing like one-time touches and keeping it moving. We had them on the back foot the whole time. If you looked at, and Vicario and our defense had nothing to do for 21 minutes. And at 21 minutes, I think they got a bit of a free kick, and then they had a bit of play. But for the majority of the whole half, they wasn't even there. They couldn't touch us. The only thing that they could do was foul us. And even then, we were still skipping around them. The boys, that they had a mission. They were on it. And Leicester, they were blowing. 30 minutes, those guys, you saw them. They were red in their cheeks. They was all sweating. They was all breathing real heavy. And we knackered them out, and we was using the ball really well. There was times that we slowed down the play in that first half. It wasn't always 100 miles an hour, but there was times that we slowed down, but we used our pace and our bravery. And, it should have been more. It should have been more. Full stop, it should have been more. It wasn't, but it should have been more. My thing is that it was a bad reaction. So I don't think it like you guys are saying there, poor attitude, but I think it was a bad reaction to the goal conceded. It was a punch in the gut. And as we saw in that little clip earlier in pre-season, Andrew was always saying, like, even if we can see the goal, it's all about the next action. It's all about the next action. And I feel that they missed that and they went more emotional. And that's where we was getting flying challenges and missed time challenges and a little bit of aggression coming into play. They lost their heads for that next 10 minutes. And then that's when Leicester got a hold of the game. That's when they had some opportunities, because that's what they were doing. They ended up starting to bully us. That was what Steve Cooper's message was get out there and stop them having any time on that ball, like Rich was saying, but foul them, you know, like get those little digs in, you know, stop their rhythm. And that's what they done. Plus with the goal being conceded, then the reaction, punch in the gut, and then they lost their heads. And I think that's where we was trying to do. And when it comes down to a plan B as well, the plan B was the subs, you know, the different personnel being brought onto the field to, yes, do the same job, but they're different personnel that do different things. So I think that's where he comes from having a plan B as well for the game. It didn't work out today, but there were still moments in that second half where we had control of that ball. But Leicester then done what the manager asked them to do, which was foul, break up, hustle us, bully us a little bit, and we'll get our opportunities, because that's when we was in panic stations. The goal itself, it was because Romero switched off. He went running towards a guy that everybody was covered, and he left Jamie Vardy back post open. But that was his man that he should have had. And that's somebody that we don't normally say those things about. So his first game of the season, a lot of those players haven't played 90 minutes during pre-season whatsoever. They've had 45, 60s. Some of them might have had a 90, you know, in the last buy-in game, but majority of them haven't. So there's a lot of room for growth. But the good things that were there were shining through for me. And I think that once we get a hold of that, and having a bad reaction is sometimes a good thing, because we know, like, Angie's going to have a proper go at him, and he's going to show those mistakes, and it's going to be open and honest, and it's going to be there for all to see. So now it's about the real reaction, because we're in the real Premier League now. It's not pre-season. These are not friendly games. So now it's your real reaction when it comes down to wanting the things that you say that you want in press conferences. Show me now. Do you know what I mean? So I think that there's lessons there today, but it's welcome back to the Premier League.
It is, isn't it, Rick? That's exactly that. Well, you know, it's all very well saying how good we looked in pre-season, which we all do, and, you know, obviously we lost the 2 games to Bayern, but it started tonight and didn't get the result we wanted, but we didn't lose. I'll say that again. We didn't lose. I'm very disappointed, but could have been worse. But we've said that far too much, haven't we, as Spurs fans? But Rich, coming back to you, 29 minutes, we scored a goal. Pedro Porro heads home thanks to a good cross from James Maddison. It had been coming at that point, hadn't it? And Porro, for me, one of the players of the season last year, just carried on, didn't he? And I thought he had a really solid game tonight.
Yeah, he did. I'm trying to find something positive to say.
Well, the goal was good. Good goal, wasn't it?
Shit. Like, Leicester is shit side. They're going to get relegated this year, and it feels like a defeat because we've obviously dropped 2 points. And I had like high expectations this year. Like, hopefully all Spurs fans did and do. And then obviously have a result like today and just go.
It's only one game though, Rich, and it's early days. I know we're all disappointed.
Saying that, it's what's the name? You know. It's you want to see the players come on the pitch and give it all. Like, I didn't see that. Attitude was wrong today. Like, a lot of people saying, like, some of the players like would look knackered at the end. It just pisses me off. It really, you know what really pisses me off about when I watch Premier League football is when I see substitutes come on the pitch, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they're not fucked by the end of the game. I'd want the subs running hard for 10 minutes. That's what I want. If I was a manager, I'd say you get on the pitch, you do this role, and you come off like you've done a fartlek session, and you're absolutely knackered. You give everything for your shirt, and I didn't see that. I saw people come off confused. That'd be the word. Confused about the game, and they're confused because you didn't take your chances. You didn't work as a team when you should have done, and in the second half, the leaders need to pull everybody together and say, look, come on, guys, how are we going to change the tide here? Because at the moment, it's going one way. And yes, Ricky, you're right. We got bullied off the ball. We were trying to play the silky football we did in the first half. Didn't happen. Yeah, you could say players did have a good game, but to be honest, I'm not really interested in that. I just think like Leicester away. Like I want to see us play different when we're away. I want to see us hard to beat. 1-0. I was thinking, right. The one thing I want from this game is clean sheet. I want a clean sheet. We've not gone behind first, and I want us to kind of take control of the game, second half on the front foot, and go for it. And the second half was piss poor against a poor team, and I'm struggling for positives because whatever happened in that first half, the second half nullified all that for me. To be honest.
No, I do.
I
do agree. I can't disagree with Rich. And you know this comment from Marlon. The rest of the top 6 won. You know, and we are already 2 points behind, and we know how hard it is to get points. Ollie, are we being too downbeat, or are we justified to feel?
I think it's a bit soon for panic stations. I'm going to take a page out of the Ricky Norwood book because it's only the first game. You know, yes, the top 6 won, but Man United could lose the next 4 or 5 games. Do you know what I mean? So we need to be a little bit more patient. It wasn't great. I mean, I come away from that game with a really negative feeling. Having said that, we really did dominate the first half, and we should have been 3 or 4 up. And on another day, we would have put those chances away. Solanke's just come in. He's still a bit rusty, still sort of adjusting to the Ange style. He'll get better. He'll get adjusted to the system. We'll figure out who really should be in the starting 11. Maybe Bergvall will come into it. I don't have this feeling of dread. I mean, for me, I look at the first half, and I don't agree. I actually disagree that we weren't good in the first. I thought we were really good in the first half. We just didn't take our chances. And I think if we play like we did in the first half in the games to come, we will win games. We just need to shake off the rustiness from pre-season and put it into practice. It was disappointing. It was Leicester. I believe they'll go down, and I really did think we'd win comfortably today. I predicted 4-1, and had we taken our chances, it would have been 4-1. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing how we fall away. And I think after the goal, we kind of dropped back. We sat back. We invited pressure. It was like we were happy to sit behind it. And that's not the Ange way. It's not the Spurs way. So that was disappointing. But it's just one of those days you have to just chalk it up. I mean, it was the frustrating thing is we've got, you know, Leicester and Everton first 2 games of the season. You would hope that would be 6 points. Now we got Newcastle away, then Arsenal. So it's not ideal, but we'll take what we can from it. And, you know, there's still so much of the season to play. If you think about a season, the start of the season and the end of the season is almost, it feels like a lifetime away. So there's a lot we can do. We looked promising. I have to say we looked promising, but it will come together, I think. And Ange was talking it big, wasn't he, in the summer, saying he always wins in his second season. So there's so much that can come.
Are you making excuses for him, though, Ollie? You know what I mean?
I don't make excuses for anyone, Rich. I mean, it's just...
I'm a professional athlete, and I'm fucking annoyed with that performance. I know what they should have done in that game. First game of the season, I was expecting a result like what you just said. I was expecting them to make a statement to the rest of the league. 4-1, 3-1, 4-0. That's my expectations. First half, I thought 1-0. That's it. Next 45 minutes, going to come out the blocks, and it's literally going to be like fireworks. They came out half time, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, no confidence. Sonny, I don't know what happened to him. Like, I can't remember one positive touch he had. Like, his first touch was terrible in the second half. And that's just really disappointing. Like, my expectations were, even though it was an away game, I was expecting this to be in the front foot, whoever we were against, and really show the league that we're not the Tottenham from the from the last 5 or 6 games last season.
No,
and clearly we still got some of that ring rust from last year.
We 100% should be disappointed. It was really, really disappointing to not put them to the sword as we should have done. But I do think that, you know, you have to judge after maybe 4 games to sort of see how it comes together, because sometimes a frustrating result like today can be the catalyst for change, because we might get in the dressing room and say, lads, that wasn't good enough. And we were so good in the first half. What the hell was that in the second half? We need more of the first half and less of the second half. And we can kind of put together the best bits of what we saw today. And if we don't, then fine, we can criticize. But I just think sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And we are very Spursy. That was the Spursiest thing I've ever seen today. But we just need a bit of. I'm as frustrated as, well, maybe not as frustrated as you are, but we just need a bit of perspective.
Nowhere near top 4 today. Nowhere near. Even that first half. I think first half you take your chances. You go in half time. You make the changes. You bed in some of those players that haven't played a lot at pre-season. We made a lot of hard work. I think we're panicky in the second half. Low on confidence. Like. That's why confidence-wise, I'm like going, what the hell? Like,
well, it was weird because we looked really, from my perspective, we looked really on it in the first 20 minutes. And I was like, wow, we looked really focused. We looked razor sharp. And then the second half, we as you say, we panicked. We lost our heads and everybody started not really knowing what they were doing. But I do think it's a wake-up call. In the first game already, I think it's a wake-up call. And hopefully it will knock some sense into them to get some consistency.
Even you spend some money, get some leaders in the team.
Yeah, and that is it. That is it. I mean, there's a few comments saying that Richard's right. There's a few comments there saying Ollie's right, and you know, but a lot of people are saying, where are the leaders? Rick, do we need leaders in this team? Would you be worried if he just slings in Bergvall and Gray into the middle of the park? Is Romero a leader? Is Sonny a leader? What do you think?
Listen. It's always good to have good leadership at the club. We already know that because we were so bereft of it for so long. But yeah, is Romero a leader? Of course he is. He's led Argentina. You know, and I say led, but you know, he's had leadership roles within Argentina, and they've won the World Cup and the Coppers and stuff like that. There. But if we could bring another one in, that'd be fantastic because we do have a very young squad, you know. There was a lot of different things. I'm looking at it as a whole, right? These guys, there's no way that they're going to go in and feel that was okay. Or like, you know what, it was a point. I think they're going to feel exactly how each one of us feel. That it's a missed opportunity, it's 2 points dropped. And how the hell did we allow them back into the game? How the hell did they get a point from us today? Because that stadium was rocking. Those away fans were fantastic. They're all I could hear for so long. I heard every single word of every single song, and they pushed that team forward, you know? And there's no way that those boys are going to go into that dressing room and be like, yeah, it's all right, we'll go to Everton next week. They're going to feel as upset as you, Rich. They're going to feel as upset as you. And they're not going to look at the good things that I'm trying to pull out and kind of, you know, obviously coaches will do it tomorrow, but once the dust settles and stuff like that, but they're going to be exactly like you on that coach home. You know, they're going to be super upset. So like Ollie was saying, it could be a really good catalyst for this. But dealing with Ange Postecoglou football, it is very high risk and high reward, right? But what comes with that is the high risk. There's risk attached to our play. And when we get it right, I wasn't going to say, but when we get it right, this could be like, it could be dangerous. It could be, you know, I'm dreaming. Of course, if everything goes right, I'm dreaming. But there's so many places to grow here. You know, Archie Gray, dynamite footballer, but again, first game in the Premiership. Bergvall, however great he's been on pre-season, this is his first taste of Premiership English football, coming up against a tough Leicester team. I say tough, I mean like rough and ready Leicester team. Do you know what I mean? Leicester themselves, they've just been promoted. There's always one on the weekends, a promoted side that ends up getting a bit of a shock result just because they're back in the Premier League and they've got that feeling and they want, Vardy party time and all of that. So there's always little elements here and there. But those boys are going to be angry with themselves and angry with their performance because they came away with less than what they deserved. They done so well that having one hiccup and having that type of reaction, the emotional reaction, the rash reaction, losing their heads a little bit, then they've lost momentum. Now you're chasing shadows. You know what I mean? Now the ball's being put in behind, and now you're the one that can't get your foot in. Look at how well placed those tackles were in the first half. Even the tackling was spot on, whether it was a stand-up tackle, whether it was a sliding challenge. You know, we was all over him. You know, Bentancur hasn't had 90 minutes in him for a very long time. You know, so he faded in the second half. Bantu, Sonny faded in the second half. He faded in the second half of Bayern, you know. But I think there's reasons behind it. Solanke's just come in. It's his first game with the boys, and he's going to learn about the runs and the rhythm, and he's going to adjust to it. You know, if you saw his heat map from last year, and I've watched many a video showing him why he's the perfect striker for Tottenham, but his heat map was all over the park. But he's very much a in the box and in the box type of striker. Also not afraid to have a long shot. So we got more shots off of him today than we probably would have got off of Richarlison. So there's plenty more to come there. You know, like Richie, he's just got back. He's had 5 minutes of football. You know, he didn't get no preseason time. We don't know what he's going to bring, how he's going to step up to the challenge of having a £65 million striker in front of him vying for his role right now. And seeing how good he did do in the little time that he did have. You know, playing with the boys, I mean, not time on the pitch, but playing with the boys. There are things there, but we are, with high risk and high reward, there is also contains the risk element where things like this can happen. So this is, like Ollie was saying there, this is a great wake-up call to go, do you know what? See how you're feeling right now. Do you want that feeling to continue? Well, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out, because the one thing that they did not do was think about the next action. They thought about the action that was past them. You know, they thought about the challenge that they didn't get a yellow card or a free kick for, or the ball that was contested on the throw-in line that it was theirs and then it wasn't theirs. It was Leicester's now. You know, they were looking backwards instead of going, what's the next act? What's the next? And they didn't push again. So they didn't get their click again, and they succumbed to the kind of the pressure that Leicester was putting on, it using their tactics, which were to bully. You know, get a hold of the ball, bully, and we can counter because we've got some quick players. So that was what was happening. But it could be fantastic. It could be a fantastic wake-up call for these boys, because they're going to be feeling it tonight. Let's see what that reaction is.
Well, Ange Postecoglou, Alistair Gold's just asked him about Bentancur. He said, yeah, look, I don't have a lot of information, but I know he's up. I know he's communicating, so he's fine from that point of view. But obviously a head injury, and I'll leave it in the hands of the medical team. The key thing is that he's definitely conscious and communicating. Postecoglou's obviously, he's commented as well, saying, yeah, disappointing outcome. Very dominant first half, really wasteful in front of goal. We started the second half similar, I think they're supposed to be. First 15, 20 minutes, very dominant, wasteful. But, you know, at 1-0, there's always an opportunity for the opposition to come back into the game. That's what happened, and we lost our way for 15 or 20 minutes. We lost our composure, and the crowd got behind them, but the game finished strong. Just really disappointed. We lacked a little cutting edge in the front third, made some decisions, lacked some composure, and didn't get the reward our football deserved. Rich, that's the same old story from last season, isn't it? It's still, I know it's early days, but the final third was our main problem, and it was again tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like I said from the first half, really, we were quite. Yeah, I know we played really well, but very one-dimensional. So sometimes we just need to mix it up a little bit. Obviously, the opposition team get to understand what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Yes, we're going to still probably beat the man and try and get the ball in. And yes, it might have broke to one of our attacking players, and we might have just tapped it in, but. Very similar. You look at a lot of our plays, especially down the left, were very similar. And how many shots did we have outside the box today? I can't remember one.
Not many.
We've got players that can take those opportunities, and again, that's why I think if Kulusevski would have been on the field, he definitely would have had one or two goes. I just think we just need to be not as predictable in front of goal, and also not try and walk it in all the time. And I know they like that play when it's kind of normally it's Werner drives down the wing, crosses the ball, Johnson taps it in. I know Ange loves that, but I think the rest of the league know that play now, and we need to kind of move on. Wasteful again. Solanke's is only just through the door. It'd have been nice for him just to get one of those kind of come off his back, like it obviously came off Porro's head and back and then went in. One of those from Solanke would have been great. And you always want your striker to be off the mark early in the season, and that would have obviously given not only him but also the rest of the team more confidence. I don't think they played to his strengths in the second half. One good thing was he held up the ball a couple of times more than Richie did last season. But again, play to your strengths, guys. Just mix it up. We've got wingers on, and we're not getting that balling early. There was once or twice when, especially in the second half, when Sonny was flying down the left, and whoever it was on the right, can't remember, might have been after the substitutions, but could have lifted the head up and then flicked that ball through to Sonny at the far post. But again, at that stage, the play was far too slow. The first half, very quick. It was ball into feet. The ball was going out the fit. The ball was moving all the time. You watch the ball; it was moving all the time. The second half, it was very pedestrian, like walking with the ball. People didn't know what to do. Like they had 5 and 4 and 1 in front of us, and we just couldn't get through. That first half, the ball was moving all the time. It seemed as though lots of spaces were available and lots of opportunities. I just wanted it a lot more opportunities than just obviously the same that we took the first half.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, isn't it? I keep thinking of positives or trying to think of positives, and then I'm like, okay. It's actually negatives. There's more negative. The negatives are outweighing the positives, so it's difficult. It's difficult. Getting back to the match stats, 33 minutes, Madders free kick, Johnson volley across the goal. Personally, I thought Son was on his heels there. If you remember the one I'm talking about, Johnson, it was almost a cross shot, and Son just wasn't quite. It was just on his heels. That would have just been a tap in. Possession in the first half of 73%. Tottenham, 10 shots, 5 on target. You can't ask for more than that, really, other than the fact perhaps a couple more goals. That's the only thing that was missing. And, of course, that was their downfall. Ollie, coming round to you. 54 minutes, Solanke shot straight at the keeper, getting in very good positions, though. I thought, I used to be a centre-forward, nowhere near that level, but I was watching him to see the positions he was getting himself in. I thought, although, dropped off a bit second half, what did you make of Dominic Solanke's performance for Spurs tonight?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. He, as you said, he got to some good positions. There was a few times where he kind of got in the way. So there was a few shots from, I think it was Son, Maddison, where he needed his positional sense wasn't great. He kind of got. I think there was a few times where it hit him and went out. You could sort of see the desperation in him. I want to say he was so eager, as you would be when you've just signed for 65 million at a big club. He was so keen to score that I think it was to his detriment. So I think he was putting too much pressure on himself. He was forcing it a little bit too much. But I did think he, you can't really knock him because, as we said, he had a couple of shots, a header, a diving header. He got into really good spots, and he played the full game. So clearly, Ange wants to give him some momentum. But yeah, he needed maybe a bit better service. We didn't really take too many players on. There was a few times when Son did the classic thing where he does a few step overs, waits for the overlap, and then we lose the ball. And Johnson on the right-hand side wasn't really taking anybody on either. So I think we could give him some better service. And I think as the season goes on, as we get more fluid, he will grow into it. But yeah, 19 goals last season, that will give him confidence. He's a good player. He's suited to our style of play. I think they showed a stat on Sky Sports where Bournemouth and Spurs had the most low crosses, the ones that are below the waist.
That's right. Yeah.
So he suits us, and I think he is a typical Spurs player. But following in the footsteps of Harry Kane is not easy. I mean, any striker that comes to Spurs always looks nervous. I remember we had Soldado, and he was just an absolute disaster, wasn't he? And we've had some terrible ones. We had was it Vincent Janssen? Who was the Brazilian? Was he Brazilian or Portuguese? Came from
Postiga.
No, I'm thinking a little bit more recent. He was, yeah. But yeah, it's a tough act to follow for Kane first and foremost, and it's tough to be a Spurs striker in general because all the hopes are on you, and we've obviously been poor in the last few seasons, so it's not easy. But I do think he will get better and better, and if he gets in those positions as he got in tonight, it didn't quite happen to him. There was a few times where he shot straight at the keeper, but he looked lively, he looked energetic, and I think it will fall into place for him. It's just early days.
Was it Vinicius?
Vinicius, yes, it was. Yeah, Carlos Vinicius. Not Vinicius Junior. Not Vinicius Junior as we all wanted. But,
Vinicius, he was awful.
We wanted Jack Clark. We wanted Jack Grealish. We got Jack Clark, and the stories of those.
Grealish would be great for us.
He would have been. Well, let's see what Ange has to say about tonight.
Ooh. Well, Ange, what's your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, disappointing, obviously, outcome for us. I thought we were excellent first half, controlled the game, and really dominant with our football, and just wasteful in front of goal. Same second half, started well, again wasteful in front of goal, and when that happens, it's 1-0. You keep the opposition in the game, and they scored, and then they got some momentum, and we lost a bit of composure, and then again we finished strong, but again without a really clinical front third, but you need.
Why do you think the possession and the number of corners? Why do you think the goals aren't going in?
Well, it wasn't just possession and corners. We created chances, and we just weren't ruthless enough, and wasteful at times, making poor decisions. Other times, lacking some composure and stuff we have to fix.
Is this something you were worried about from the end of last season?
I wasn't worried about it, but it is an area we need to improve because, especially in games like this when you're so dominant, you need to make sure that that's reflected on the scoreline and don't give the opposition an opportunity to get back in the game.
After the equaliser, you obviously, Rodrigo Bentancur suffered a horrific collision. How is he?
Yeah, look, I'm not really sure. I haven't really spoken, but from what I understand, he's up and talking. So, I'll leave the medical team, but obviously it's a head injury, which is going to be really careful.
So is it back on the training ground and sorting out the problems that you want fixing?
He's back on the training ground, irrespective of the outcome. We're back at training and getting ready for a big game next week.
That's interesting from Ange, isn't it? Pretty much said what we've been saying is front third again, Rick. But have we got the pieces in place? We'll come on to the transfer window later, but we've got 6 or 7 front-thinking players that could swap positions, which is what Ange likes, of course. Do we need more in that? We will come on to this at greater depth in a little while, but is that the problem? Is that just the problem?
I mean, us as Spurs fans, we love attackers. So we would love another one. And whether that's a winger or somebody who can play up front, that it'd be great to have another attacker out there and just give us a few more options. So if that can happen, fantastic. For me, I can see there's a lot of kind of room for these boys to kind of grow as a team and as a unit. That they haven't managed to do that as yet, and I think it's just first day. The fact that the manager is so upset and he looks angry. He looks as angry as Rich, which I like. He didn't shy away from any of those questions, and some of those questions were tough, and he didn't shy away from any of those. He answered them, and he took responsibility, but he also laid responsibility to the boys as well within that by saying, we made some silly mistakes. We lost our heads, lack of composure, stuff like that, So seeing him angry and seeing him fired up, and then he says like things that we have to fix. You know, I kind of go, all right, and cool. I'm gonna take that positive thread out and let's go. Let's back these boys. We have to back something. You know, it was tough to back Conte ball after the first half a season. You know, going into his first season, it was tough. We know how it was with Mourinho, and all of us Tottenham fans, you know, however we feel about a player or a manager, as soon as they're wearing the shirt, you know, we back them and we give them love and we give them as much support as we can. If there's time to be critical of them, we will critique. Of course we will. But I think that there's a core idea and a clear kind of road that Andrew's shown us. And sometimes we're going to love it. And sometimes it's going to make us want to hide behind the sofa and bury our heads and not want to come on the podcast after the game. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's going to be a bit like that. I think it's going to be more positive than negative. I'm hoping, I'm praying. And I think there's enough in there to see a reaction. Today, without anything, I don't know, I can't remember how many chances that you said there that we created, but we also had the amount of corners that they said there. So there were so many good things. It was just that we done the same things that we always do. It's kick ourselves in the backside, you know, allow ourselves to kind of get hit up and stop doing the things that were making us great. You know, that's what we done. We stopped doing the things that were making us great. And then we couldn't get up to gear again. And also with the Bentancur injury as well, there was like a big chunk. There was about 10 minutes of downtime. So again, the loss of momentum when we was trying to get back into the game. We were trying to keep pushing forward. There was a loss of momentum. Pedro Porro not being able to bloody well walk for about 5 minutes. I couldn't believe that they carried on playing. I got it though, because Andrew was frustrated because we was on the front foot at that point. We was in control. We was making moves forward. So he was like, don't worry about the injury. Just keep it going because finally we're getting some rhythm. But we messed up our rhythm in that second half. And Leicester messed up our rhythm. So you give them credit for doing what they done there. But yeah, there's a big reaction to come. And that's what I'm really excited by. We haven't got a clue what the ceiling is. And you know the boss doesn't like ceilings or floors, but we ain't got a clue what the ceiling is for someone like Archie Grayberg, Val. You know, we've only seen Spence in a competitive game now for what, 7 minutes. So we don't know what's gonna come from this squad. Is there holes? Yeah. I would like another left back if I'm honest to help out your doggy or to be able to swap him in and swap him out. That's his first 90 minutes in months. No preseason games. Yes, he's been training, but that's his first 90 minutes. So, of course, he's going to dip as well, heading into the latter stages of the game. You know, so it'll be nice to have somebody who is someone that can compete with him on that left side so that we can start rotating that side as well. And, you know, when there is somebody injured, we can pull him on, you know, pull him on the bench and then put that guy on and we ain't dropping the quality, but in fact, they're giving us something new. The quality remains the same, but they give us something else. One might be a dribbler, one might be a crosser, one might be a long shot, but they're giving us something different to what we just had there as well, without losing the quality and without losing the system and the momentum that we did today.
Rich, we won't spend too long talking about it, but 57 minutes, Vardy scores. We've kind of touched on it already. I watched it back. Romero ran past Vardy to mark somebody else. And it was a free header, wasn't it? It was poor defending.
Yeah, he was going to score there. You don't leave Vardy in the box unaccompanied, whatever. Obviously, the reason why he scored the goals he scored, he knows at 37 years old, he's still able to find the back of the net. And that was criminal, really. That was a massive mistake. And to be honest, he had the second best opportunity of the half as well, which he obviously missed, and we could have lost the game.
He did.
Which for me, again, you kind of go, we could have been looking at no points. So on the plus side, we got 1 point, and the away fans were amazing, and that's my two good things for the game. That's it.
Well, that's just it. I was never a defender, and I don't claim to know much about defending at all. But when you watch it back, he runs past their number one threat.
Yeah.
And if he just stood next to him, he would have headed it away. And as acres of space heads it home, that's what Jamie Vardy does. As you say, though, just before he went off Vardy, he had a ball was played in between Porro and Romero again. He ran onto it. How many times have we seen him over the years put them away? And it was a good save. It wasn't a brilliant best to finish, but it was a good save by Vicario. That could easily have been us behind. And, you know, a better striker, perhaps a striker in better form that wasn't knackered, because obviously he hadn't played for ages, would have buried that, and we'd have been, well, we all know where we would have been. But 72nd minute, just staying with you, Rich, I know we've spoke about it. King Power Stadium is very unlucky for Rodrigo Bentancur. Carried off on a stretcher again after colliding with Fatawu. Sounds like he's okay, but obviously if concussion rules, he's going to be, I think, 7 or 8 days he's got to rest now, so he won't be available.
Well, that's important, I think, with any head injury as well. I think the Premier League have been very lackadaisical with some of this concussion protocol in the past, and come up with a lot of criticism, and I think it's about time that they use this protocol, the reason why it was there, for concussions, not just an excuse to have another substitute. So I'm glad that was taken into account, and it's really important that is the case, and other teams follow suit as well, because I know in the past I have seen games where players have just carried on, and then 10 minutes later they've kind of still confused, and you can tell they're concussed. And I'm glad that he wouldn't be able to continue anyway, but it's the protocol was put in place for a reason, and that was handled in the right way today.
Yeah, indeed. On the 78th minute, Bergvall, Gray, Werner and Kulu came on. Obviously, one of those was concussion sub, as Rich said. 91st minute, Porro went off injured, and Son, and on comes Richarlison and Spence. But obviously, we had about 9 minutes added time. Ollie, did you think we were going to get the winner in those last few minutes? How did you think Spence did? How did you think Richarlison did? What did you think of that header wide at the end for Richarlison? Should he have buried it?
Yeah, I think it reminded me of, it wasn't as bad, but it reminded me of Darren Bent when that was like, my missus could have scored that. It wasn't as bad, but it was like, if it was Kane, you'd be shocked. So I think because it was Richarlison, we were all just like, oh, Richarlison's missing all the chance. No, I didn't. Even with the 9 minutes, I was like, well, 9 minutes for us to do nothing. I think we could have played for another half an hour and probably still wouldn't have scored. We just ran out of juice, ran out of momentum. I think, obviously, really, really concerned for Bentancur, but that long period where there was no play just took the wind out of our sails. I think the 4 substitutions took the wind out of our sails as well. I don't agree with making 3 subs at once, let alone 4. I never think it's a good idea. It just kills momentum. You're playing with a whole new team with 4 new players, especially young players like Bergvall and Gray. I think if it was me, I'd introduce them slowly. But yeah, Richarlison wasn't on for long. Couldn't really judge him apart from that miss, which is poor. I was impressed by Bergvall. I think he was really good in pre-season. I think there was a few really, really good touches. But I think he's kind of shown what we can expect from him, because there was a few really good touches. He wanted the ball. He was brave. And then obviously he gives it away and gets a bollocking by Vicario, which I thought was harsh, actually. Like, it's like, imagine starting work, and on your first day at work, the boss goes nuts at you and screams at you, which I've seen.
It weren't even his boss, was it? It was his colleague.
I've seen that happen at the Mail, by the way. The guy on his first day got a bollocking in his first hour. So it does happen. But it was harsh. I mean, he's a kid. At least he was brave enough to get on the ball and make stuff happen. You're going to lose it. With Andrew's system, you're going to lose the ball. But yeah, I thought Gray looked solid. Like, Gray didn't really seem to want to take many risks. He was more just trying to keep the ball and pass it sensibly. But yeah, it was just that end to the game. It almost felt like a friendly or a training game. It was just, you never really felt that we were going to do anything. As soon as Maddison kind of went off and faded away, Son came off, you were kind of just like, okay, well, that's it, that's done. There was just
too. Did nothing either, did he? You guys know what I'm like with Werner. I don't rate him at all, even on the left. And he was on the right, and it was terrible. Yeah, it's a weird one with Werner, because I want to love Werner, but then he just frustrates so much. He doesn't take people on. Like, he doesn't look confident at all, does he?
Yeah, it's just he used to be like the main guy. He used to be an out-and-out striker, and now he's just sort of relegated to being like a substitute winger, and it's just sad to see, really.
He's got like pillow feet as well. When he's about to shoot, he like either scuffs it or he just like rolls to the keeper.
Yeah, he gets himself a bit wound up, and Yeah, I don't know about Werner, but
I'd like to see Spence given an opportunity on the right wing. To be honest with you, a bit further up the pitch, at least. I think he's got all the attributes to do that.
Well, we've just signed that boy from Burnley, haven't we? Odegaard. So he's coming in. He looks quite quick, tricky and pacey at the same time. So there's going to be options there. So and who knows what else we're going to get through the door by the time the window shuts. So Werner might be like a squad player by the end of the time that the window shuts. Maybe like Ollie was saying, which I agree with as well. But bringing Johnson off the bench as an impact sub, I think that has been his most kind of successful kind of period of time for us. And he really does change the game. And if he was the one that was coming off the bench today at those times, maybe he would have got a little bit more joy down that right hand side with his pace and with that drive sort of thing. So we've got Odegaard coming, and who knows what else is happening before the window shuts. So Ange knows, and we can trust that Ange knows because he said it more than 7 times. Ollie, you probably know the damn number, bruv. But he said it more than 7 times that's the area of the pitch where we're lacking the most. Do you know what I mean? That's the area of the pitch which needs the most work. It's the finishing. It's the icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean? It's the things that we need to do, and it was something that was a theme last year. We've added a striker to help with that, and now there's other things that we need to do. There is a lot of kind of players that are coming into this squad right now, and there's a lot of options to have. But this is the thing. So I trust that Ange is going to be on it to have a squad that he's going to be happy with. It won't be perfect because we always know we're one or two short, but at least a squad that he's happy with, especially up front.
Well, that's a good segue into the transfer window, Rick, because I think we've done the game to death now. I think we've talked about it as much as we need to. Of course, today we saw, or certainly saw him at the game, Oliver Skipp, one of our own, has finally moved to Leicester. The club put this message out a bit earlier today. I'm going to have to put my glasses on to read this because it's so small. Apologies. We have reached agreement with Leicester City for the permanent transfer of Oliver Skipp, an academy graduate who began his journey with the club at the age of 5. Oliver progressed through the ranks to become an integral part of our youth team, and in 2018 earned his senior debut on our pre-season tour of the United States. The midfielder made his competitive first-team debut for the club in a 3-1 win over West Ham in the Carabao Cup in October 2018. His Premier League debut followed at the end of that year when he featured as a second-half substitute in a 3-1 victory over Southampton at Wembley. In 2020-21, he enjoyed a successful loan spell at Norwich, helping the Canaries secure top spot in the Championship, earning promotion to the Premier League. Virtually ever present in the team, he featured 47 times across the campaign, scoring once, and was named in the PFA's Championship Team of the Year. During his time with us, Oliver made 106 appearances in total across all competitions, reaching the century milestone for the club in the FA Cup fixture against Manchester City in January 2024. He registered his solitary goal in our colours when he scored in a 2-0 victory over Chelsea in February 2023. The 23-year-old has featured for England up to under-21 level to date, and in 2023 helped the Young Lions claim the UEFA European Championship. And it does say on the bottom there, all the best, Skippy, which you can't see, it's cut off there. Oliver Skipp's one of our own. He put a message on Instagram today. After incredible 18 years at my boyhood club, it's a time to say goodbye. It's been an amazing journey that started as a 5-year-old in 2006 to today in 2024. So many special memories that I will never forget. To have played over 100 times for a club is such an honour and a privilege. Lastly, a big thank you to all the fans, players, staff and chairman for all that you've done for me. I'll be back as a fan one day. Coys. Nice. Richard, just very quickly, Oliver Skipp, one of our own. I know he never quite made it and lived up to the hype because Mourinho and Conte thought he was going to be a future captain, but just a few words on Oliver Skipp.
And he showed that, didn't he? He showed that in brief spells when he got himself into the team, and then he picked up a niggle or two, or then found himself out of the team, and then he couldn't reproduce that form. Obviously scored some key goals. One against Chelsea, a rocket in the top corner. For me, just never really kind of lived up to his potential. And I think it's really important that we see that progression from the academy through to the first team. He was one of those players potentially that would take obviously that captaincy of the team, and unfortunately didn't do it, which is a little bit disappointing. But again, if the players aren't going to be up to scratch, if they're not going to make an impact, if they're not going to be utilised within the framework of the team, then if there's a value to them, then obviously move them on. And I think that is important, that the manager does that with players that he isn't going to use, because in the past we've had lots of players that have just stuck around and it's not been great for the team. We need to have players that are hungry, that want that success. I still think leadership is a massive thing that we need in the team, and hopefully we can bring in a couple more additions that then upscale the players that we've actually got at the moment.
Who would you bring in, Rich? Who would you bring in as a leader to kind of like change direction? And
I don't know. Like I say, number 6, somebody that like really sits in, sort of a loud player that really kind of love somebody like a Rodri that could actually find somebody like him that's really dependable, that again can really communicate in lots of different scenarios, whether it's with the ball, without the ball, vocally. We don't have that, I think, at the moment. I'm not sure who that is. I think obviously we need to have maybe somebody as backup, as a right back. Do we need a right back? And then probably number 6.
I wouldn't have thought so. I personally think if anything, we need a centre back that can play left back if they're going to let Phillips go. Ollie, what do we need? The Standard reported we don't need a 6. Apparently, what do we need? Who do we need?
Yeah, a 6 would be good. But having said that, Archie, we got Archie, we've got Bergvall, we've got Bentancur, Sarr. Don't forget Basuma is coming back when he's served his ban. I think we are well stocked in midfield. It would be nice to have another midfielder, as you say, a leader, but somebody who's a bit versatile, somebody who can maybe play in the cam position if and when Maddison gets injured, as we know he probably will. I mean, maybe Bergvall could fill in there, but just like a really dependable midfielder who can grab the game by the scruff of the neck, that'd be great. Left back, as I think you said, Craig, earlier, would be really good, because if Udogie gets injured, I think we're screwed. It'd be good to have someone who's versatile in that area, so maybe kind of like a Cancelo who could play right and left back. I don't know if that exists even, or like a centre back who could play left back. I think Van de Ven played there a couple of times last season, but obviously he's just so good in the middle. You don't want to lose out on that. But yeah, other than that, I do think we're quite well stocked. But the problem is we just don't have that many players who have that top world class caliber. We've got Odobert. I think we have kind of forgotten about Odobert. I don't know how you say his name. I think that's it. So we've got good wingers. We've got Odobert. We've got Kulusevski, Brennan. We've got Werner. We've got Son. So we've got lots of wingers. We've got Richarlison. We've got Solanke. So I think the main thing, midfield and fullback, somebody who can play on either side would be great. But I do think we're well stocked. And like, if you looked at our bench today, we had a really, really good bench. Like to be able to bring on Kulusevski, Richarlison, Bergvall is really good. So I'm quite happy. I would like one or two more signings.
Any particular person, Ollie, if you had the choice, realistic choice?
I don't know. It's a really tough decision. Like for the midfielder, in my head, I know obviously we're not getting Rodri, but someone like Rodri, I don't know if it exists. I mean, all the top clubs have, like Arsenal got Rice, Man City got Rodri, Chelsea have got I don't know. I don't think he's that great, but they got Caicedo. Man United have got. They got Casemiro. He's actually pretty poor now, but everybody's got somebody. So it would be good if we could get a real dominating midfielder. I honestly couldn't tell you, because I don't think many players like that exist, and I think it's really hard to find it.
Rick, signings so far: Bergvall, Gray, Solanke, Odegaard, and obviously Yang is coming in January, along
Viskovic
with
as well, isn't he? Viskovic
as well. Yep. So obviously he's a centre back. He's 17, 18 years old. So raw talent, young again. They're building for the future. We need somebody for now, do we? I think we do. And who would you sign, and what positions do you think we should go for?
I mean, yeah, of course we need a bit more for now. For me, I think like it's really important to get that left back in. There are a couple of fast, quick, exciting left backs, but I think they're probably going to go for one for around like 15 to 25 mil, something like that. I think they're going to go for a gem in that position. But somebody like Hincapié, who was at Leverkusen, who's another one that is left centre back, but also can play left back. Someone like that could be an experienced guy to come in as well, who could be here for that rotation, but here for now as well, because we see how important Mickey van der Ven is in that position as well. So I think that would be fantastic. And then, you guys are talking about Rodri. That, who impressed me during the Euros was, I think it was Fabian Ruiz. Was it Fabian Ruiz in the midfield for Spain? And I thought he was a player that really felt comfortable in possession, made good passing choices, was composed. But I've got a feeling that bringing in Archie Gray kind of sews up that six. I think it's going to be, like Ollie was saying there, between Basuma, Bentancur, and Gray, Sarr as well, who can also rotate in there. But I think in their heads that they've almost got that role covered. I'm with you, though, because all of last year, you could see if we had a monster six, if we had someone like Ugarte or something like that. Ugarte from Portugal, not so much from PSG, because he didn't really get much games there. But someone like that, who is like a high energy, cruncher, that would be fantastic. And if all fails, why not just hire Roy Keane as our captain coach? Could you imagine what Roy Keane would be like on that coach back right now with those boys? Oh my gosh. And he said he's got a soft spot for Spurs as well. Him and Ange got on during the Euros. I think it might need to happen. A captain coach. Let's have it. Roy Keane at Spurs.
I think he was at Tottenham, wasn't he, for a little while? In the he was trained. Yeah, I think I remember hearing something about. I think Kane said that he trained with Tottenham or something, but for some reason didn't work out. I might be completely wrong. Somebody else might know that.
Did we try and swap him for Josh Onuma plus a couple of mil?
You know it's true. Oh dear, it's funny because it's true. Rich, so far, what do you give the transfer window so far out of 10, and what do we need to make it a 10 out of 10?
Well, it's not going to be 10 out of 10.
All right, 9.
Solanke's the one that I'm not sure about Solanke. And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not sure about Solanke. I want it to really work. And 65 million is a lot of money for a player that's had one good season as well. So 19 goals. A lot against some of the weaker teams. Yes, I know he scored some against the likes of Man United, etc. But I don't know, 7.5. I think of quite a few players that are young, yes, hungry, unproven though. Maybe had been out on loan that have now come back into this environment. I think Archie Gray is a shrewd player. I've seen him quite a bit. My dad's a Leeds fan, so he rates him highly. I don't know. To make it I think somebody. We've not had that a marquee signing, and I don't think we're going to get a marquee signing. We're not going to get somebody that's going to literally blow us off our feet in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think we might get 1 or 2 more players, and whether they're squad players. I think for me, when we re-signed Werner, I think that like set the tone for me, and I was like, I've said this to Chris a lot. and I just think he's lost it. It's like lost it, and it's not going to return. I can't see it returning. And it's like 1-on-1. It's not even 50-50 he's going to score, is it?
No, and that is it about Werner, isn't it? You know when he goes through, he's not going to score. So
I love it. I love one game against one of the big boys and put one in the back of the net, and then all of a sudden it spark the revival. But it's not going to happen because he had a couple of like goals last season. I thought, oh, he might kind of kick on now, and then it was back. And then it was back. His old form was back. So when we talk about this transfer window, I think it didn't start the best with actually. I think we should have let him kind of go and then actually use that squad place for somebody else. And the reason why I say that, and was it 15 million? And you just go, do we get a better player for 15 million? I think it's not, do we get a better player, but we know what we get with him, and he's not going to get us in the top 4. That's that.
Yeah,
I
don't think it was 50. It was 50 million if we bought him. The loan, there was another loan fee, but it was substantially lower than that. But I do get what you're saying.
If it was more than 20 quid, it was too much anyway.
Well, if he bangs one in against Chelsea and wins us the game, then all's forgiven. Ollie, have you heard anything in your work circles? Can we expect anything?
I did hear, not officially, but just transfer circles, that Vanderson might be coming. You heard the Monaco right back. Apparently, we're in talks with Vanderson, which I'm quite surprised by because we're quite well stocked at right. I mean, if you think we've got Porro, Jed Spence, and Archie, we look all right there. So get to the other side, unless they're doing it so that Vanderson come in and then Jed Spence fills in on the left as depth on the left. But
it's probably what it is, isn't it?
Or we keep Davis and then he plays.
You don't want Davis there anymore. I mean, he's more of a centre back now anyway, isn't he? So yeah, Vanderson is the only one that I've heard that might be imminent. But
Eze? No, come on, Eze.
I mean, do we need Eze now? Now that we've got Odegaard, I mean, I'm not saying that Eze's Odegaard's better than Eze, but it's just you don't want to be like Chelsea where we've got like a crowded
too many.
And
then you can have too many, can't you? Because he needs to know his best 11.
Yeah, I think if we were going to get Eze, we'd get him over Odegaard. So I don't think we need another winger. I think we could do with another attacking mid who could maybe play across the front 4, maybe that kind of player. But I think Eze is too good to come in, and now that we've got all these wingers, I don't know.
And just reading the comments about Werner's wages, 180 grand a week. I thought at first I was thinking, blooming out, £180 a week. That's expensive, not 180 grand.
but you know what? Like by the end of the window, he might not even make the bench. He's a loan player. He can go. There's no obligation to play him. And if we do bring in some more, then he's just like, and I don't mean to say this, but he's almost like Ben Davies, which is like, well, I'll see you on Monday in the training ground. But the bench, look how full the bench was today, and there are more players coming in. There are more players to come back. So he might not even get a space on the bench. And you know what? With someone like Eze as well, if you chucked him on the right wing to start him with Sonny on the left, Solanke up front, that could be like nasty. That could be almost too good, so it could be dangerous. You don't know what's going to happen, man. And bringing on someone like Odegaard who can come off the bench, another young one, but someone who can come off the bench and then find his feet and then again push for places. I think Kulu's almost taken this that's what I'm saying earlier is I think Andrew's thinking about Kulu as that attacking mid option there, as that person who goes in there and disrupts, because when he is in the middle, he is confusing. He's less predictable when he's in the middle. When he's on the right, we all know what's going to happen. And sometimes that left back can end up reading him way too easy, because we've all seen that. We've all seen a block cross. We've all seen him dribble too much and then get caught. We've seen it. But in the middle, he could be devastating because he is somebody who likes a challenge. He's up for a battle. He rides the challenge. He's got flicks and tricks, and he's got vision as well, and can bang a goal. So, I think that's what he's thinking there. But, listen, if Eze was to come in, this ain't Chelsea, man. Chelsea have got 74 players and they just signed João Felix. Listen, don't compare us to them lot. Let them do what they're doing. But if we're down for Eze and Eze wants to come, then I'm all up for it, mate. I'm all up.
Well, that's it. I've banged the drum about Eze for months, but you know, I think you're right. I think we could fit Eze into this team. It's a bit like people say you can't have Foden and De Bruyne in the same team. Of course you can. I think you can have Maddison and Eze in the same team, and Werner's on loan, like you say. There could be a clause where he goes back or he gets released in January. So with Yang coming in, of course, as well, although he's young again, 18 years old, but he's a winger. So, you know, we've got a glut of those. Ricky, before we come on to the Everton game for predictions, very briefly, Donnelly at Orient and Dane Scarlett's gone to Oxford, of course. I watched a bit of that Orient game. I thought Donnelly done okay, faded a bit in the second half, but he did play through a lovely slide rule pass through. Didn't score from it, unfortunately, but I think it's a good move for Donnelly and a good move for Dane, even though he only got a few minutes at the weekend.
No, fantastic. These boys need games now. They need game time. They need games. They need responsibility, and they need to feel the want. That's why I'm not too upset about Vicario, by the way, having a go at Berg Bowl. Yes, it's harsh, but know how important it is. You got at 18 on your first day. You need to know how important these 3 points are, and you need to know how important it is to keep your head. So it's the same with like Donnelly and Scarlett being out there. They're going to be playing like responsible football. So hopefully they get the game time. Hopefully they can progress, and hopefully we can see we can see them grow into players that can come into the side next year. How exciting would that be? But that's what's important about these young ones. If they're not going to get it, and remember, we've still got Mikey Moore to come on that bench as well, you know. But it's important for those players to get as much game time as they can, especially those that won everything that they won last year. We have got some phenomenal talent, but we can't let them stagnate. We've seen that. We've seen promising youngsters come through like Tanganga and Carl Walker-Peters that come through, have a burst, and then end up dipping and end up being around for the foreign quota, homegrown quota in Europas or Champions Leagues and stuff like that. So listen, get them out on good loans, and these two have got good loans. Hopefully they get all the game time they need and they develop and they have a fantastic season. Come back to us buzzing. Absolutely.
Well, we'll just touch on the Everton game on, of course, back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at 3:00 Saturday. I would imagine there'll be some changes, whether that's Bissouma coming back in. Obviously, Bentancur, you'd think is going to be out because of the concussion protocol. We won't be able to play for, I think, 7 or 8 days. So there will be changes. Probably speculate on what that lineup's going to be later in the week on another podcast. But Richard, what's your score prediction for the Everton game? This is a final question to you. What's the score prediction for the Everton game? And at this early stage, where are Tottenham going to finish in the league this season?
Well, let's hope that Spurs play for 90 minutes this time, because normally it's the first 45 minutes is shit, and then the second 45 minutes they play a lot better. Well, today was opposite way round. I think some of the players need reminding that there's 2 halves to the game, and they turn up after the break. So Everton, we need to have a better result, don't we? We definitely need to have a better result. And Everton aren't the best team, but neither are Leicester. Neither are Leicester. So probably Everton will go down with Leicester and it'll be 1-1. But let's say 3-1.
3-1. And where are we going to finish this season, do you think?
No comment.
Oh, okay. Ollie?
Yeah, I need to see 5 games. I can't say after today's result, they ain't finishing top 4. So after 5 games, I'll let you know.
Okay, Ollie.
I predicted 4-1 today, but I think Everton really are there for the taking. They lost 3-0 at home to Brighton first game. They look really poor. If we can't beat Everton and put a few past them, then I'll be worried. So the Everton game is the real litmus test, I think, because that's the perfect opportunity. I know they'll probably sit back and frustrate us, but that is the perfect opportunity to show our attacking potential. So I think I'm going 4-0. 4-0. 4-0. I think if we don't win 4-0, then I'll actually be, well, I won't be worried. But if it's not 3-0 plus, 2-3-0 plus, I'll be worried, because this is a real chance for us to showcase ourselves, and they're a poor side. I don't want to like tempt fate, but I think I did that today. But
Leicester are poor, mate. Leicester are
poor. No, but
poor.
if we had taken our chances, I think we would have won 4-1.
Yeah, that's ifs and buts, isn't it? It's like, I'm like,
so hopefully we'll have our shooting boots on next year.
Let's hope so.
Hopefully Solanke in front of the home crowd will get a bit more. There'll be a bit more electricity. We'll get going. I don't know. I feel really positive for some reason. This is really weird for me because I'm usually the critical one. And then for the league table, it's so hard because the first day of the season, like, it's just so different at the end. I think I'm going to say 4th, only because we finished 5th last season, so hopefully there'll be an improvement. I think I'd be so shocked if we finished 4th, but I'm still going to say 4th. Because if we finish less than 5th again, it'd be such a decline, wouldn't it? But having said that, I would take 5th and the Europa League trophy, or any trophy. So yeah, but I think the important thing is, don't panic. There's a long way to go, and this is something to chew on, right? The 2015-16 season was one of the best seasons we've had. We finished 3rd. We should have finished 2nd. We challenged for the title. We didn't win any of our first 4 games. And we drew 1-1 away to Leicester.
Oh, there's an omen. Right,
fair enough. Dele Alli made his debut in that game, so just think about that.
Well, I think you're right in that it's almost a must-win straight away. Everton, I think, because we've got Newcastle away and obviously Arsenal at home coming up, so they are not going to be easy at all. Rick, finally, score prediction. Where are we going to finish?
I'm with Ollie. I was feeling a 4-0. I was feeling a clean sheet as well, just to put things right. You know what I mean? But I am that guy. And I don't mind it. I'm going to stand by it. Yeah, I think, like I say, I think they're going to be determined to show us all what they're about. And I think they're going to be frustrated this week in training, going, I can't believe that we came away with a 1-1. So, yeah, I'm going to go 4-0, bro. And where we're going to finish, I'm a bit like Rich. I need to see it go out, but I'll say top 4 right now. I say that it's definitely what we've got to be aiming for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll say top 4.
Although I'd take Europa League win and finish in the Champions League anyway. So that's trophy and ticks both boxes.
Yeah, I'm there with that, man. Europa League win, that'd be fantastic, boy. That'd be the one. That's the one that I want, this year.
It would. Well, look, thanks, guys, and thanks to everybody who's watched us tonight. And I think this is, I don't know how many of these I've hosted, but I don't think I've covered a win yet. So I must be a bit of a unlucky omen. But Rich, thanks for joining us. Where can people find you, and what you're up to at the moment?
What am I up to? Just busy, mate. Go to Paris this weekend for the Paralympics. I'm working for BBC 5 Live for 2 weeks on the athletics and swimming, so that'd be awesome. Obviously training hard for my marathon venture, trying to create 2:35 for a marathon in Chicago. For those that have been following me on socials for that, I'm just training really hard and really busy with the foundation. So everybody knows where to follow me, either Marathon Champ on X or Richard_Whitehead on Instagram.
Excellent. Thanks, Richard. Thanks for coming on. Ollie, where can people find you and what you're up to at the moment?
You can now find me at the Mirror, which is where I do my stories now. I left the Mail in May, so doing a bit of freelance at the Mirror, and then I'm writing. I think I spoke about this before, but I'm actually writing a book for my dad, which is actually coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh, amazing!
So Gary Gamp is the author. It's my dad. He's writing a book about careers, which is really going to hope. We hope it's going to help young people. It's called Career Catalyst. It's coming out on Amazon. You can buy it in paperback or on Kindle. So keep an eye out for that. It should be out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I've been working hard on that for the last 2 years. So it's nice to see it come to fruition.
Excellent. We'll look out for that. And lastly, Rick, where can people find you? What you're up to?
You guys know where you can find me by now. I mean, come on. On X, you can find me at Ricky J Norwood. On Insta, you can find me at official Ricky Norwood. No J needed in the Instagram one. And you're probably going to be seeing me after Everton on this bloody well podcast, chatting about a 4-0
And me.
win, all right? Chatting about a 4-0 win. We're all going to be smiles are blazing and we're all going to be buzzing, okay? Listen, there are brighter days ahead. This is just the beginning. Keep the faith, and all of you fans out there that was there, and I know some of you were screaming at home at the TV as well, but all of the fans that were there tonight, big, like Rich said earlier, big clap out to you guys because you sang your hearts out, and like I say, man, like I could feel your energy through the screen. So, you know, get home safe tonight. Get home safe as well, Chris. Drive safe, brother. Don't you worry, Craig done a great job. So, you know, you haven't lost the channel tonight.
I don't think so. The viewing numbers are going down. The viewing numbers are going down and down and down. I don't know.
But yes, always an honour and a pleasure to be on with you, gents, man. And I'm just happy that the Premier League has started and we're back. And come on, Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs. Come on.
Absolutely. Well, you know, football is our love, isn't it? And but there are bigger things in life than football. Didn't have some particularly good news yesterday. A very good friend of mine I've known for many years, Paul. I know you won't be watching, but much love to you, mate. Hope you pull through. But look, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. We're all Tottenham. We know what's going to come. We know what we got to put up with, and we know what we're going to get through it. So let's hope there are brighter days ahead. And can we say we're going to win a trophy? Let's not after tonight's show, but that's what we all want. So see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.